The office fridge was leaking again. Of course it was. Melanie had a client demo in 6 hours that could make or break the entire damn account, and she was ankle-deep in puddled LaCroix and someone's rotting salad from February. She muttered something about entropy with benefits and kicked the door shut, soaking the hem of her slacks. That's where she lived now, between crises. Between late-night spreadsheets and 5 a.m. slide edits. Between cleaning up everyone else's mess and hoping someone would one day notice. Not with applause, she wasn't stupid, but maybe a raise, or a half-sincere thank you, or hell, even a working fridge. She wiped her hands on a paper towel and limped back to her desk, which was really just a folding table someone once dragged out of storage when they ran out of real desks for the temp hires. Her laptop buzzed like it had epilepsy. Slack pings. Client doc revision request. An internal thread where Tyler, the golden retriever in a suit, had just asked, "Wait, do we have data for this slide?" She'd built the entire deck from scratch, rebuilt it after Tyler presented the wrong version last week, then debugged the client's procurement dashboard herself because IT was swamped. She'd stayed late enough last month to set off the motion alarms. 3 times, so yeah, she was tired. But this demo, it mattered. The client was on the edge of canceling 6 months ago. She'd kept them on the hook with duct tape, Zoom therapy, and a god-tier Excel model she wrote in one fever dream weekend. This was the moment. This was the win. Hey, quick side note, if you're enjoying this chaos, tap that subscribe button. 97% of folks never do, and it helps more than you think. Plus, it keeps the team caffeinated and emotionally stable. Sort of. Anyway, back to the flood. Melanie pulled up the final version of the deck, her 10th. It was good. Streamlined, visual, packed with KPIs the client's CFO could eat with a spoon. She triple-checked the embedded dashboard links, hit save, and emailed it to herself as backup, and to her personal drive, and to a burner Gmail just in case. Because when you've been burned this many times, you learn to carry a digital fire extinguisher. She didn't hear when someone wheeled in another standing desk across the hall for Tyler. Again, or when the intern knocked over a stack of catering menus trying to print a shipping label. She was too deep in it, tuning numbers, timing transitions, polishing lines that other people would read like they'd written them themselves. She wasn't bitter. Okay, she was a little bitter, but that bitterness had edges, purpose. It kept her moving. At 11:37 a.m., she checked her calendar to confirm the demo time, 3:30 sharp. Client-side COO would be there, plus the senior ops leads. She'd requested 20 minutes up front to walk them through her diagnostic. Her baby, 6 months of midnight oil and soul erosion in a single slideshow. Then the calendar notification updated. Updated, demo prep 3:30 p.m. Tyler Sam Rohan, her name was gone. She blinked, hit refresh, checked again. Nope, still gone. Slack pinged, new message. From Sam, the project manager who once called her logistics Jesus and then forgot to invite her to his wedding. Hey, just FYI, we thought it'd be more efficient if Tyler ran point for the demo. You've done so much already. Read then, 10 seconds later, a second Slack. From Tyler, not meant for her, clearly misclicked. Subject, demo strategy message, she'll eat it. She always does. And just like that, the air left the room. Melanie stared at the screen like it owed her rent. She reread the message 5 times, slow. Not because she didn't get it, because she did. This wasn't an oversight. This wasn't a scheduling goof. This was a setup. They were icing her out. The deck she wrote, Tyler would present it. The work she'd done, he'd get the glory and the commission and the next client. She'll eat it. She always does, not this time. Melanie didn't stand up, didn't flip the table or march down the hallway like some vengeful office banshee. She simply leaned back, cracked her knuckles, and stared out the window at the cheap skyline. There were two types of people in this building, the ones who played the game and the ones who built the damn board. And Melanie Holt had just decided she was done building for free. She didn't move for a full minute, just sat there, motionless, like her bones were buffering. Slack notification blinked stupidly on her screen, as if begging her to react. Maybe it expected a thumbs-up emoji, or a chirpy no-worries smiling face with smiling eyes. But Melanie wasn't that woman anymore. She'll eat it, she always does. Her jaw twitched. She reached for her water bottle, sipped, realized it was empty, and tossed it into the trash with a dead thud. In the glass wall across from her, she caught her reflection. Blurry, backlit. But there she was, the woman who pulled triple coverage when 2 analysts quit mid-quarter. The woman who trained Tyler when he couldn't differentiate between net margin and net worth. The woman who, until 3 minutes ago, thought she had earned this moment. Eat it, she whispered, bitter like cold coffee. Her inbox dinged. Sam again. This time with a note that read, "Could you just polish the deck and send the final tonight? Would love your eyes on the flow. Told Tyler you'd help him with the talking points. Appreciate you." Rocket. Melanie didn't scream, didn't cry, but something fractured quietly like drywall behind cheap paint. She clicked open the deck. Her deck, spent 5 seconds staring at the front slide. Logistics Reimagined, a roadmap. That was her title, her font, her client phrasing. She hovered over the file name and hit save as. New title, Logistics Final Tyler Sucks BPTX Petty? Yes. Did she care? Absolutely not. She scrolled down to the data visualizations, smoothing out a trend line that Tyler had stretched into oblivion. Fixed a mislabeled y-axis. deleted his animated gif of a rocket taking off. Why? If she was going to be cut out, she was at least going to hand him something he couldn't butcher in real time. Because while Melanie's blood was boiling, her pride didn't negotiate. She wasn't about to let this idiot tank her 6 months of reputation with a single fumbled Zoom. Then came the real kicker. Her phone buzzed, unknown number, no voicemail, then another. Then a Slack message from HR, "Hey Melanie, quick ping, just a routine alignment on resourcing and roles. Can you pop in for a chat tomorrow?" And that's when she knew this wasn't about a demo. This was a slow, polite firing in reverse. The signs had been there. Her PTO approval took 3 weeks and came back marked discretionary. Her work was recently duplicated on internal dashboards with no credit. Her name had disappeared from client call invites. They weren't just replacing her on one meeting. They were cutting her out of the story entirely. She looked at the screen. At Tyler's dumb little face in his Slack avatar, open-mouthed, mid-laugh like a Labrador on Adderall. Nephew of COO. No real experience. Couldn't pronounce logistics infrastructure without stuttering. Once asked if procurement was short for something. And now, he was presenting her work. The worst part? They weren't even hiding it because they didn't have to. She'd taught them she'd stay silent, that she'd eat it, that she always did. Melanie stood slowly, walked to the window by the break room, watched the gray clouds roll across the skyline like dirty cotton balls. Then she smiled. Not the brittle kind she used on Zoom. A real one, thin, sharp, measured. She walked back to her desk, opened a new tab, typed in one name, the client COO. She'd spent weeks coaching him through his own team's tech literacy issues. They'd done after-hours troubleshooting on his broken KPI dashboard while he muttered about wanting to bulldoze the entire dev department. They liked each other, respected each other. He'd want to know. Melanie clicked on his direct line. Didn't dial, not yet, just stared at it like a loaded weapon. Something had snapped, but not the kind that breaks you, the kind that frees you. And in that moment, Melanie Holt decided one thing with cold, absolute clarity. They would regret forgetting whose fingerprints were on every win they claimed. Melanie slid the final deck into the team folder with the same quiet precision she used to clean a knife. No commentary, no follow-up message, just the cold click of upload complete. The file was flawless, smoother than it had any right to be. She'd polished Tyler's sloppy phrasing, trimmed the flab, realigned every timeline bar by hand. She even added subtle speaker notes, the kind that would make a half-wit sound seasoned. It was a parting gift, really. A Trojan horse packed with enough polish to mask the fact that Tyler didn't know his EBITDA from his elbow. She knew what they were thinking. She's eating it, again. Classic Melanie, always the team player. Tyler didn't even bother thanking her. Just sent a quick thumbs up and a gif of Michael Scott yelling, "Let's do this thing." That was his style. Meme his way through mediocrity and ride her work like a boogie board through client meetings. Melanie didn't reply. She didn't need to. Because while they thought she was backing down, Melanie was quietly gutting the house from inside the walls. She opened her notes app and wrote down a single line. "Client has no idea I've been removed. Might want to fix that." Then another, "Redraft onboarding roadmap for me, not them." Then another, "Start packing." It wasn't an emotional spiral. It was strategic triage. Because Melanie Holt had built this house, slide by slide, system by system, weekend by unpaid weekend. And she'd be damned if Tyler and his soft-jawed nepotism swagger were going to waltz in and hand it off like a frat boy DJ set. She leaned back, cracked her neck, and stared out the window again. Not at the skyline this time, at her own reflection. She didn't look angry. She looked ready. Flashback, late October. A client deliverable had collapsed 12 hours before deadline. She was already 3 days into a fever, running on NY quill and stubbornness. Everyone else had gone home. Sam said, "We'll just tell the client it's delayed." Melanie said, "No, we won't." She stayed up until 4:30 a.m. fixing it, ate cold Thai food at her desk with fingers that barely worked, delivered the final deck by 7 o'clock. The client never knew anything went wrong. Sam took a victory lap in the Monday meeting. Tyler said teamwork makes the dream work. She had gone home, thrown up in her bathtub, and returned before noon. Another flashback, December, Christmas week. She volunteered to cover client emails so the family men on her team could unplug. One exec actually sent her a Starbucks gift card for being a team elf. She cried in her car, then used the gift card to buy coffee for the whole damn office. Another flashback, March. Client COO called her directly after hours, said his internal systems were failing under load. She spent 4 hours walking him through manual corrections while her laundry piled up and her dog sat staring at an empty food bowl. He said, "You're the only reason we haven't walked." And now she was being replaced like an expired printer cartridge. Melanie clicked open LinkedIn. Not for job search yet. She went to the client COO's profile. Read his recent activity. Saw the post he'd made last week about seeking fresh external strategy insight. She smiled. The door wasn't just cracked, it was already open. Her Slack pinged. "Tyler, hey, could you maybe hop on a quick call to walk me through the metrics? They are a lil tricky lol." Melanie typed, "Can't tonight, busy," then closed Slack. No explanations, no rescue mission. No more enabling the downfall of her own career. They wanted the deck, they got it. They wanted her silence, that ship had sailed. They wanted her loyalty, that invoice was due. And the interest rate had just gone predatory. Melanie stood, walked to the bathroom, stared at herself in the mirror again. This time, she didn't look ready. She looked done. Done apologizing. Done fixing what other people broke. Done pretending it was all fine just to make fragile men feel like leaders. She washed her hands slowly, dried them with the scratchy office paper towels, tossed it in the trash, then walked back to her desk, opened her inbox, and typed 6 words, "You free for a quick call?" to the client COO. The match had been struck. The fuse was lit. Now all that remained was watching the house burn. The call lasted 7 minutes. That's all it took to end 6 months of corporate choreography and start something sharper, quieter, cleaner, final. Melanie didn't even bother rehearsing. Dialed the client COO's direct line with the same calm she used to reorder toner or fix someone's broken pivot table. Not angry, not desperate, just certain. He answered on the second ring. "Melanie, hey Mark," she said, tone even. "Got a second?" There was a pause, the kind you get when someone's suddenly aware they've missed something critical. "Yeah, of course. Everything okay with the deck. That's why I'm calling," she replied. "Just wanted to flag something before the demo. There's been a change in my involvement." "Involvement?" She breathed in slow. "I was removed from the project this morning. Internal reshuffle, apparently. You'll be meeting with Tyler now." Another pause, longer. He exhaled like someone who just realized he'd stepped on a landmine 6 hours too late. "Tyler. The intern who thought an API was a new vitamin? That's the one. You're kidding, I wish." He didn't say anything for a second. Then, "That explains the last round of prep. We're wondering why things got off. That wasn't by design, I had no say." He swore under his breath. "Christ, they didn't tell us. Just said you were on special assignment, so they lied too." Melanie stayed quiet. Then Mark, lower, more deliberate. "You're not calling to complain, are you?" She almost laughed. "No, Mark, I don't complain. I build systems that don't collapse during board meetings." "Exactly." There was a beat, a shift in tone. You could feel the air recalibrate. "You still got access to your deliverables?" he asked. "I do. Everything's clean. Everything's mine." "Good. Here's what I'm thinking," she continued, stepping across the line they'd drawn for her. "You and I already have rapport. I know your back-end systems better than half your internal team. If you want continuity, I'm open to stepping in as an independent consultant. Full transparency. Clean terms, no drama." He didn't flinch. "You're freelancing now." "I am as of about 7 minutes ago." Mark let out a chuckle, dry and furious. "What's your rate?" 20. Done just like that. The NDA hit her inbox in 5 minutes. The consulting agreement 5 after that. Legal CC'd, terms fair, timeline open-ended. By the time she clicked sign, Melanie's entire career had pivoted like a weather vane in a lightning storm. She stood up, gathered her personal laptop, a half-dead spider plant from her desk, and one sad office mug that read "This might be vodka." She didn't announce it, didn't slack goodbye. Let Tyler have his moment. Let them all refresh their inbox and wonder why her Google Drive access was suddenly revoked. She didn't even take the elevator. She took the stairs, slow and calm, her heels clicking against the concrete like a metronome. Every floor she passed was a memory. The break room where she learned she'd missed a promotion to a guy who couldn't spell logistics. Tiny conference room where HR once told her she needed to be less intimidating to younger hires. The glass wall where she cried quietly after pulling a 70-hour week to fix someone else's mistake. All of it behind her now. On the ground floor, she pushed through the double doors and walked into the summer air. No victory pose, no flared coat in the breeze, just steady, quiet escape. Outside, the sun was bright and meaningless. Cars passed. A dog barked at a pigeon. Somewhere above, people who didn't know they'd just lost their best strategist were preparing for demo that was already dead. Melanie pulled out her phone, blocked 3 numbers, deleted her work email from her device, opened her new inbox. New subject line, blinking fresh, client consultant agreement signed, "Welcome aboard." She smiled, tapped the notification, then turned the corner without looking back. Tyler was 2 slides deep into a rambling metaphor about supply chains as jazz bands when the door opened. Melanie stepped inside like she owned the oxygen. Black slacks, clean blazer, expression as unreadable as a closed spreadsheet. No theatrics, no flared nostrils or revenge heels. Just a leather folio under one arm and a look that said, "I've already been paid." Every head in the room turned. Tyler froze mid-sentence, laser pointer twitching on the screen like a dying insect. He blinked like maybe she was just a hallucination brought on by nerves and cold brew. He said, eyes darting to the firm's execs lined along the far wall, Sam, Rohan, and upper management from HQ, flown in to witness their golden boy's big client win. "Melanie," Sam said, half standing like a dog caught peeing on the carpet. "What are you?" Before he could finish, the client COO Mark spoke, smooth and final. "Oh, she's with us now," he said, gesturing to the seat beside him. "Melanie Holt is our new consultant, independent." He smiled like he'd been waiting all morning to drop that grenade. "We figured if we're gonna overhaul operations, we might as well go straight to the source." The oxygen left the room. Melanie nodded politely, didn't even look at her old team. She just took her seat beside the client's procurement head, opened her folio, and clicked her pen, business. As usual, Tyler laughed nervously, the kind of laugh that's one syllable short of a breakdown. Wait, I thought this was. I mean, we're presenting right? He stammered, gesturing toward Sam and the others. This is our solution. Mark leaned back, folding his arms, sure, and Melanie built 80% of it. We're just cutting out the middleman now. Sam's face drained like a bad printer cartridge. He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came. Melanie didn't say a damn thing. She didn't need to. Her presence was the speech. Tyler's hand trembled slightly as he clicked to the next slide. It was one of hers, of course, clean lines, sharp numbers, annotated margins. He began reading it aloud like a fourth grader doing a book report on something his mom summarized for him the night before. 5 sentences in, he misread the acronym. Melanie corrected him, gently, smoothly. No edge in her voice. Actually, OTD in this case is on-time delivery, not order dispatch. Tyler blinked, nodded, corrected himself. Sam shifted uncomfortably behind him. Melanie turned a page in her notebook. 2 more slides, another stumble. Melanie again, that margin delta actually reflects last quarter's fuel surcharge rollback, not customer churn. This time Mark chimed in too. Right, that was in the side notes, Tyler. Tyler's collar was dark with sweat. Rohan, who hadn't said a word yet, finally leaned forward, whispering something to Sam. Sam looked like he might be sick. Melanie caught it peripherally and filed it away like data. Halfway through the demo, Tyler tried to explain a feature she designed, the cross-platform dashboard integration. He butchered it, called it some kind of plugin, then trailed off. Mark sighed. Melanie, he said without turning, you mind jumping in on this one? Didn't flinch? Just adjusted the monitor so the client team could see and launched into a 3-minute bulletproof breakdown. Simple terms, strategic phrasing, no fluff. She included the why, not just the how, the kind of explanation that made people trust her without needing to understand every button. The clients nodded. Even the CFO, usually stone-faced, scribbled something down. Tyler looked like someone had set fire to his resume. Melanie finished, closed the file and leaned back, still silent. The room shifted around her. Her old firm's execs were visibly trying to recalibrate. Sam opened his mouth to salvage the moment, but Mark had already stood up. Appreciate your time, he said to them, not unkindly but with finality. We'll be reviewing proposals from our new vendors next week. For now, Melanie will coordinate next steps, and that was it. Melanie stood, shook hands with the client team, exchanged quiet nods. As she passed Tyler, she gave him the faintest smile. Not smug, not cruel, just aware, like a doctor who's already read the test results before the patient even knows there's a lump. In the hallway outside the boardroom, Sam caught up. Melanie, what the hell just happened in there? She stopped, looked at him calmly. I did the job, you brought a mascot, and she walked away before he could respond, her heels echoing down the corridor like a gavel at the end of a trial. By the time the boxed lunches arrived, Tyler was begging the catering guy for an unsweetened iced tea like it could reverse humiliation. The demo was technically over, but Melanie wasn't done, not by a long shot. They'd booked the room for the full afternoon. What her old firm assumed would be handshakes and post-demo handholding had now become a quiet autopsy. Melanie at the head of the table, sleeves rolled slightly, her laptop plugged into the projector. Mark, the client COO, nodded at her. Walk us through it. What do we keep? What do we throw out? Melanie didn't gloat, didn't grin, she just got to work. First, she pulled up the current implementation schedule one her old firm had labeled aggressive yet doable. Melanie tilted her head. This timeline assumes API access from your internal ops team. Have you gotten that? Mark raised an eyebrow. They told us it was pending. She clicked. Still shows denied on my end. The procurement chief swore softly. We lost 2 days on that stall. Melanie nodded. Yep. And here this contractor listed under custom integration? That's an intern from their offshore partner. He listed the entire script repo on GitHub last month. I've already flagged it. The room went silent. Tyler, slouched in the corner now with a yellow legal pad he hadn't written a damn thing on. Hyped up, it's not that bad. I mean, they're junior, but Melanie turned to him, kind, firm. Tyler, did you review the staging environment before today? He blinked. No, Sam said we didn't need to until post-demo. Melanie turned back to the projector and navigated to the sandbox interface. The client's dashboard showed 5 red error banners. Those hit this morning. No one caught them. She paused, because you weren't monitoring. Tyler opened his mouth, closed it. Mark looked like someone just stole his lunch and blamed him for cooking it wrong. What do you recommend? He asked Melanie. She flipped to a new tab. We rebuild the integration layer with an independent vendor. I've worked with one before, small team, senior-only staff, no fluff. They can drop in next week. He nodded, make it happen. Another contract, gone from her old firm. Next slide. Procurement flow, I wrote the original spec. Modified it after I left to include a subscription tracking module. Good idea, but their implementation uses hard-coded values that'll break under international vendors. I'd suggest scrapping that section and reverting to the March draft. I'll clean it up for you. Another project phase. Redirected. It went on like that for 2 hours. Quiet, methodical evisceration. Melanie wasn't burning the house down, she was moving the furniture before the match hit the floor. Each recommendation came with a contact, a plan, a timeline. She wasn't just dismantling her old firm's presence, she was replacing it with better. Tyler wilted with every bullet point. Sam texted her 3 times, hey, need to debrief, can we chat? We're getting weird signals from the client side. You good? Melanie, she didn't reply. They didn't know yet that this room, the room they booked, the meeting they thought was theirs, had become a surgical theater. She'd opened the chest cavity, removed the tumors, and was stitching the heart back together, better, stronger, hers. Mark looked at her mid-meeting and said, "Why didn't we just hire you 6 months ago?" Melanie didn't flinch. "Because I was buried under people who knew how to talk louder than me." He chuckled, "Not anymore." As the meeting wrapped, she stood. "I'll write up today's notes. Expect a vendor handoff packet by morning." He offered a hand. She shook it, one by one. Contracts were reallocated, scopes rewritten, and ownership transferred. Quietly, precisely. The firm she'd bled for still thought they'd won. Still thought Tyler's jazz metaphor had landed. Still thought they were in follow-up phase. They hadn't seen the emails being drafted. The Slack threads she'd been silently removed from. The vendor IDs revoked without notice. They didn't realize the only thing they had left was the catering receipt. Melanie packed up her things and left the room as calmly as she entered. One more step toward the cleanest corporate coupe no one would ever see coming. At exactly 6:12 p.m., the Slack server at HQ pinged like a submarine caught in a minefield. Sam's status flipped from offline to active in a panic, followed seconds later by a message in the company-wide thread. "Does anyone have visibility on client feedback from today's demo?" No one answered, because by that time, the client's procurement officer had already CC'd 5 new vendors on the integration roadmap. Mark had quietly removed the firm's admin access from the dashboard portal. And Melanie had already been paid. At 6:24 p.m., she got her first email from HQ, subject, quick touch base from Sam S. Hey. Just circling back, heard things got a little mixed up this afternoon. Love to align on expectations moving forward. You free for chat tonight? She read it while sipping an iced Americano in her kitchen. Her dog snored beside her. She didn't respond. At 6:37 p.m., subject, urgent, need to discuss client transition from Rohan P. Melanie just got looped in. Sounds like there's some confusion vendor assignments. Can we hop on a call? Totally support you, just want to align. She smirked. Confusion, he called it. That was cute. Then 6:49 p.m., one from HR. Subject, alignment opportunity, let's chat from Dana T. Hi Melanie, we understand there's been some shifting priorities. Leadership is really eager to reconnect and discuss how we might reintegrate your expertise under new structures. Happy to schedule something tomorrow. Reintegrate, like she was a rogue software update. At 7:03 p.m., her phone buzzed. Tyler. Calling, she let it ring. Then Sam again. Text this time, Mel. I didn't know, I swear we can fix this. You should be leading the entire ops vertical. Let's fix this. Fix this? Now they remembered she existed. Now they were crawling back with glossy apologies and LinkedIn buzzwords. Reintegrate. Leadership pathway. Strategic realignment. Where were they when she was building alone at midnight? When she begged for more QA time and got ghosted. She carried their mess and they handed her Starbucks gift cards like performance medals. At 7:18 p.m., Melanie opened her inbox and replied to exactly one message, the one from legal. The one with the subject line, potential conflict of interest request for clarification. Her reply, I'm unavailable for internal calls. Please direct all further communication to my attorney. No salutation, no signature block, just the corporate guillotine. She hit send, leaned back, and exhaled. Because the panic wasn't hers anymore. It belonged to them now. To the men in Patagonia vests who smiled through her ideas and buried her name beneath PowerPoint bullet points. To the execs who copied her formatting but not her strategy. To the systems she held together with spit and patience and Red Bull, only to be told, you're not quite leadership material. She hadn't been invited to the table, so she built her own, brought the client with her. At 8:07 p.m., she got a final Slack from Sam. You're really doing this? She stared at it, let it sit. Then, for reasons even she couldn't fully explain, she replied, I already did. Then closed her laptop for the night. They could panic, they could scramble, they could spin learning moments into postmortems. But Melanie Holt wasn't a ghost in their machine anymore. She was the exit sign. The email hit inboxes at 8:42 a.m. Subject line clinical and calm. Vendor update. Holt Strategy Solutions engaged as primary operations consultant. Underneath, a simple paragraph. The client was restructuring external partnerships effective immediately. Melanie's new consultancy would now lead the logistics transformation directly. No mention of her former firm. No thank you, no transition notice, no room left for negotiation. Within 10 minutes, screenshots of internal Slack threads started leaking like smoke from a blown server rack. Hash Operations Hub. Wait, did we just lose the entire client? Tyler's pitch wasn't even finished. What the hell? Did you guys know Melanie was going solo? HR? Sam just locked himself in a phone booth and he's yelling into his Apple Watch. HR scrambled. Legal drafted templated damage control. VP and partnerships sent out a learning opportunity memo filled with bulleted nonsense about cross-team transparency and navigating interpersonal inflection points. The CFO just asked one quiet question in leadership chat. How the F did we let her walk? Meanwhile, 37 blocks away, Melanie was walking into the client's new co-working suite. Bright windows, fresh coffee, no one interrupting her mid-sentence to reframe the narrative. She had her own desk now, her own badge, her own calendar invites with her name first, not buried in CC. An intern greeted her in the lobby with a fruit basket that looked like it came straight out of a Pinterest fever dream, mango roses, chocolate-dipped everything, and a handwritten note tucked inside. Glad you walked in. We should have called you months ago. She held it for a long moment, then smiled, a real one, not polite, not performative. Recognition without condescension. Respect without negotiation. In her new workspace, she unpacked quietly. Just her laptop, a small framed quote her sister gave her years ago, build what they said you couldn't, and a flash drive. On that drive were all her old firm files. Her notes, her backups, her contingency plans. She opened it one last time. Read through folders labeled audit prep, vendor gap analysis, and one final gem titled IF they screw me. She didn't need them anymore. She selected all, right-clicked, delete. The system asked if she was sure. She clicked yes like she was extinguishing a match. Then she opened a blank new folder on her desktop, named it Client Onboarding Week 1, and just like that, she was no longer the woman fixing other people's fires. She was building her own map now. Her name, her terms. The best revenge was never the fruit basket. It was knowing she'd made herself unreplaceable, and then replaced them. The invoice went out at 7:03 a.m. sharp. One page, no frills, no justifications. Holt Strategy Solutions invoice #0001 scope. Logistics restructuring, executive continuity consulting, vendor remediation. Total due $42,800 terms. Net 15 status. Pending. Melanie hit send, then refreshed her inbox once, twice. 3 minutes later, subject. Payment received, thank you, paid in full. No haggling, no follow-ups. Just clean, silent closure wrapped in a confirmation email and a green check mark. She stared at it for a moment, soaking it in like sunlight. 6 months of blood, sleep deprivation, and being politely ignored distilled into one neat transfer of value. No middlemen, no credit stealers, just her. She picked up her phone, scrolled to the contact labeled Sam S. Never again, and typed a single message. Thanks for the demo invite. It went great. She hit send, then turned the phone over and let the silence carry it away. Elsewhere, at HQ, the walls were coming down. Tyler stood in front of his desk, cardboard box open, panic in his eyes. His monitor was already dark. A junior analyst was wiping the whiteboard behind him. Legal had begun auditing email threads. HR had suspended remote privileges while they sorted through breach of contract concerns. Sam was nowhere to be seen. Rumor was he was taking a few personal days. The Slack channels had gone eerily quiet. #ClientOps was now read only. Melanie, she wasn't thinking about any of it. She was stepping through the glass door of her own office, lease signed just yesterday. Exposed brick, good light, the sound of potential in every echo off the floor. She set her bag down, sat in the desk chair, opened her laptop. One folder sat on her desktop, other clients they took for granted. She clicked it open. Inside, notes, timelines, pain points, and 3 names she remembered from past projects, leaders who'd pulled her aside after calls and whispered, I wish we had someone like you full-time. Now they could. No vengeance, no parade, just precision. Because this wasn't about torching what she left behind. It was about never, ever letting herself be buried in it again. Melanie leaned back, exhaled slowly, and let the moment settle like dust in sunlight. She didn't need to burn bridges. She'd already built the damn road. Thanks for watching, you cubicle warriors. Hit that subscribe button. Unless you're my old boss, then you're on your own. Revenge of the coffee pot strikes again.